Hello, folks. Tonight we are going to examine an exciting beer, although you might say exciting. It's just an ordinary beer. Well, it's Dixie beer. Let me send this link to the people real fast. All right. We'll close out a couple of these things. All right, Paul Honor USA handles Dixie these days. I don't think they actually own the brand. They just handle the distribution. They do Hack Shore, Paul Honor, Dixie, I think a beer concoction called Friuli, and the Fullers. So you can look on Paul Honor USA and there's a locator tool, which seemed to be pretty effective, except for my local area. I don't know if there was some lockout on that. So anyway, Dixie beer, introduced in 1907, and just like all the brands, wasn't produced. See if I can get a shadow on there. Wasn't produced during Prohibition, reintroduced in 1933. Twist cap, good. Let's go now. John Sharon had to back out for a particular reason. Jean-Pierre is supposed to come and join us a little late. He has something to do. And Nate K wanted to join, but he couldn't find the beer, and the closest beer shop to him was 53 miles away. He said, I don't think I'll be doing that. But he said he was planning to go up to Kittery, Maine soon, and he would try to buy it there. I did see Dixie beer in Connecticut before. Okay. You can see the crest, Dixie Brewery. Slow, New Orleans slow brewed. 40 years ago, 1976, it was a very popular beer brand in Louisiana. Around, okay, you see it around everywhere on draft, in cans, and bottles. 20 years ago, it was sort of popular. You did see it at a lot of places, but the company was so poor. When the beer industry adopted new canning standards, a new can design in 1996, Dixie could not afford to buy the equipment to do their cans properly, so they just abandoned canned beer. No more Dixie. So they lost half their customer base in 1996, because, you know, there's some people, they only drink canned beer, right? Yeah, I know the World Series is on. It was supposed to come on an hour later, but they're worried about rain. They were saying it could rain at any time. Anyway, the Cubs are up 1-0 as of the time of this broadcast, but down 1-0 in the games. Dixie did introduce, I think it was around 1989, a white chocolate beer. So they were early on into the craft beer thing. In the early to mid 90s, they introduced, and it might have been, but I think it was around 93, they introduced Dixie Crimson Voodoo, which was a red ale, Dixie Black and Voodoo, which is still around, a black lager, and Dixie Jazz Light, an amber light beer. Previously, they had Dixie Light. Hello, Jean.
Hello, my friend. How you doing?
I feel good. I'm glad I'm not alone.
No, not tonight, my friend. Let me go get my beer, and we'll go ahead and get going.
Okay. And
go ahead. You going to say something?
I'm gonna talk it along, because you're gonna talk it along in a minute. I want to go get my cans and bottles to show people. I forgot to do that.
Okay.
This is a good eating beer. All right, now so it just kept declining. I remember up until 11 years ago, it was always $3.99 a 6-pack. So I would oftentimes buy it. 4.5% alcohol is an old traditional American beer. My grandfather used to drink it. He recently passed away, unfortunately. Brew Dude said, I'll be watching while I toss bags of cinnamon over my shoulder. Okay, Brew Dude. He said he had some friends from Germany come over one time, and they told him they thought the Dixie beer was more authentic to the German style beers than most American beers. Okay. But my grandfather did pass away last month at 96 years old. Would have been 97 in December. Okay. It was aged in Cypress barrels. They claim it's still aged in Cypress barrels, so they might have shipped those up there to Monroe, Wisconsin. Joseph Huber Brewing, owned by Minhas. All right, so to go along with the story, in 2005, they had a beer can collector's show, and I collect lots of beer cans and bottles, so they said they were having it at Dixie Brewery. All right, I went over there, and I bought some cans, and they had a lot of people out there, and then they had Dixie on draft and Dixie Black and Voodoo on draft. So I was drinking that. It was letting people drink it. I think you had to pay like $1 to get into the show, some little fee. The brewery's on US Highway 90, which is a long highway route that runs from West Texas to the Atlantic Ocean. Anyway, I'll be walking. Okay, so I went in there. I mean, you could see the guys working in the brewery. Some people claim to me that the brewery had shut down before Katrina hit, but I mean, I saw them in there working, and the brewmaster guy or whoever, he was showing me around. He said, you can look around, and I could see all the equipment. It was so old. He said, you see all this equipment is from 1907. It's the original equipment. He said, so when something breaks, we can't order a part. We have to have the part made. They had to have the part made. And they had these huge copper kettles and everything. It's a pretty big facility if you look at the photos on Google.
And this one was in downtown New Orleans, right?
It's more in mid-city. It's outside of downtown, but it's in the city. And about 2 blocks away was the old Falstaff Brewery. All right. So Dixie was the last big regional brewery down here in the South. And I think they were making about, if I remember, 500,000 barrels a year or 1 million barrels. I can't remember. It was a pretty good amount. Probably at the level of Schlitz or Pabst Blue Ribbon, maybe less than PBR by that time. So I was in there, and the guy was showing me around, and I looked in the hospitality room. It was a beautiful hospitality room where they would have parties and stuff. So never dreaming that I'm going to never be inside again because the hurricane's going to hit, and then these crazy maniacs are going to break into the brewery and steal all the copper and then just trash it just to be mean, just break everything. So the Bruno family who owned Dixie literally had no money to buy, or well, they claimed they didn't even have insurance on the property.
Which is bad business.
Yeah, so they couldn't afford to get it repaired. So it just sat there empty from then until now. About a few years ago, the state of Louisiana seized it in order to build this huge hospital complex. They started to contract brew Dixie up in Covington, Louisiana, which is north of the Lake Pontchartrain, at a small brewery, but they could not keep up with the demand. The consumption was too big. Even though it's not big anymore, it's still way too big for what they could do. So Joseph Huber Brewing, Minhas, said, well, we could do it. So it's up there in Wisconsin, they brew it, and then they ship it down here, either on barges or a train or a truck. I don't know.
Up the Mississippi.
It's so long. Yeah. And this beer, and I learned this before Hurricane Katrina hit. I was looking at beers of Europe. Dixie was produced in Europe for a long time under contract by, I don't know who. I know it was produced in Ireland, and it must be, I'm thinking at the Murphy's Brewery, and that would be Heineken. So Dixie is produced in Europe. It is produced in Europe, and it's handled by Paulaner USA. What now?
No, I was going to say, I meant when I did my review of Dixie, reading a couple of things that there was talk that they possibly maybe trying to reopen the brewery back down into Louisiana again, around the New Orleans area, maybe as you say, Center City, I guess, or close to the city limits.
Yeah,
mid-city, and because of the popularity of this beer, and also sort of the I guess city renaissance, as you see a lot of some of these old breweries like Stroh's, they're opening back up in Detroit and whatnot. Dixie doing the same thing, kind of giving that, I guess, retro feel, but also, having the beer. Hey, we made it. This is a classic beer. This is a New Orleans beer. we want to put it back in the city, you know, brew it in the city.
Right. Now, when I say mid-city and not downtown, you got to understand the Superdome, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome is on the edge of downtown, and you can stand in front of the Superdome and see the Dixie Brewery, and you can stand in the Dixie Brewery property and see the Superdome. Okay. So we're not talking about, we're talking about walking distance.
Okay.
Hear a little echo.
Hold on, I'll turn the volume down.
So,
is that better?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Have you ever had Dixie before?
This is my second time having Dixie. I did, like I said, I did a review of it. I enjoyed it, and right, I enjoyed it, and I said, okay, I can get this beer. And as I actually saw the price, it's $8.99 for a 6-pack of this. I got the single, so you know, like I said, so far, you know, it was enjoyable. I gave it a good score, and right now I'm sipping on this while we're talking.
Okay, now it's $7.99 here, and I was telling the audience before the hurricane hit, it used to always be $3.99. So you know what happened. It costs so much to ship it now.
The price got to go up.
I mean, it was $3.99 for the longest time. Have you ever had the Dixie Black and Voodoo?
I've seen it. I haven't had it yet, and even the other Dixie beer, the Dixie Jazz. I have not had that one yet either. So, yeah. Okay.
Well, you described the appearance, and I see a lot of bubbles in this beer.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Also, as you see, is a little bit of some lacing. I'd had this in the fridge for maybe good 20 minutes right now before we went on the air. I had it in my other cooler where the temperature is about pretty fair. Some good lacing. The color looks like your standard lager, but it's a little darker compared to.
Yeah, it's more golden.
Yeah, and you know, it has so far sipping on it. It has a little bit of a hold on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get those old cans and bottles, and at 4.5% alcohol, you could drink a lot of this stuff, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it has a little bit of a nutty, very nice little bite to it so far, and it's. To me, I think that this is, I guess the slow brewing process kind of gives a little more flavor to it, you know? So, Dixie beer captures the essence and is characteristic of the gracious charm and joy of living, so inherent in the proud New Orleans and Southern way of life. And that's about it on Dixie. Slowly aged, brewed with crystal clear water, genuine barley malt, choice hops, select grains, and pure yeast. Maybe the yeast I'm tasting, but I think it's kind of a nuttiness, like I said, to this beer. Giving a little bit of a nice little flavor. And
I'm gonna go get some more of the cans and bottles. I mean, and then I'll be right back. Now, I do notice that it's not just a regular old lager beer. It has a lot more aroma and flavor, don't you find?
I do. And
it almost has like a cream. You notice it has almost like a Genesee cream ale flavor, like that.
Yes, it does. That wort, that W-O-R-T, wort sort of kind of feel, and it's quite good. And I'm a big fan of Genesee cream ale, so it has a little bit of that. And it's a shame that the price for what it is. I mean, it could be viewed as a since you may know more, Jay, about Dixie than I do, you know, I know a little bit about Genesee and Ballantine Ale, particularly living in the Newark area, close to the Newark area. Was this beer considered a budget beer at one time? Was, you know, like you know, since you mentioned about Genesee,
Dixie a budget beer?
I was going to say, but you know, I grew up with Ballantine in the Newark area. Ballantine sort of, you know, it's kind of, you know, its history and its place in the New York, New Jersey area. I guess Dixie, you know about Dixie. Was it one time, was this Dixie considered a budget beer?
I don't think ever was. It was always like a premium beer, like say like a Budweiser type.
I mean, at least the masses, what the old saying about Henry Ford. Those who I want, those who work for my company, able to buy, have a, I guess, you know, able to afford my car, buy my car. Same thing with Dixie. They make it in the city of New Orleans, have it be reasonable enough for them to afford to go buy some. I guess, I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm tell you about that. It was a regional beer. Okay, so it was all over the South and other parts of the country. It was sort of like Schmidt's beer, or like you said, Valentine,
right,
or Olympia, that kind of thing. It never got bought out. Was never bought out by a big company because maybe nobody wanted it. I don't know. All right, but I'm sure somebody might have come along and offered to buy it, but the Bruno family, they just didn't want to sell it. I don't know. I really don't know. Okay. Anyway, so I think in Louisiana, Jack's was maybe the cheaper one, but that's owned by Pabst. They bought that around 1974. And I remember when the Jack's Brewery in the French Quarter was still in operation. I remember going to the French Quarter in 1973 or 74 with my mother. We say mama here. And steam, it was open. And then it closed, and my mother was like, "Oh, I can't believe they closed this brewery." And then they closed down Falstaff in 1979, and then Dixie unplanned in 2005. Falstaff was maybe like the really budget beer, and they did a lot of contract brewing, like major contract brewing, and because like all the grocery stores would sell their local beer, but it was all made by Falstaff. Here's some old cans. Here's a can from 1982. It's the 75th anniversary can, and it shows the brewery.
That's nice.
Yeah, and it's got like a wreath, and it says Dixie beer and certified premium, whatever that means. It says, folks in Southern Louisiana have been enjoying the smooth taste of Dixie certified premium since Valentine Mertz founded the Dixie Brewing Company in 1907. Today, it's the only locally owned brewery in the South. No longer true. Great care was taken then, as it is now, in selecting the choicest natural ingredients, and that's what's made it a favorite all these years. Well, in 1982, yes, it really was still a pretty prominent item. I remember going to a state park in Mississippi, and my father sneaking in a case of Dixie beer. It was a dry county. He was like telling my mama, be on the lookout. That was back in his drinking days.
Okay.
Yeah, it has a lot of yeastiness. It's got a rich flavor. I mean, there is no way. No, I used to always drink Dixie beer. Now, a lot of Louisiana people would say it's nasty. I say, yeah, I used to tell them this 20 years ago. I say it's nasty for you because all you drink is Bud Light and Miller Lite. So
thank you.
Anything that has flavor you think is nasty. So when the craft beer thing came around and got so big, I remember saying, well, I'm kind of used to this already because Dixie was always sort of like made up in the old way, like a craft type lager. I know they use flaked maize, cornflakes, as a filler, but it just seems like they had a little hoppier note and a much more yeastier note and almost a biscuit. It's almost like a Euro lager in some ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It had those
kind of heavy body too. Goes great with boiled seafood, by the way, like boiled crabs.
And for the ABV in this, again, this is pretty light. You know, this is, you can say, you can knock a couple of these back and really enjoy it. Because, like I said, you know, when I did my review, I said this, you know, and I'm kind of hoping that they do come back, the brewery, and build within the city, because you want something to really identify the city with, you know, something that really gives it like, you know, hey, that's, you know, obviously local economy, local jobs, great, but also say that, you know, hey, we're proud to make this beer. You see the videos for Yingling. I don't know if you ever watch them on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
You know, how, you know, people are proud, and despite what people may think about the company and, you know, the whole, and the owner and his, you know, right to work, making a right to work state, but people want to be proud that, hey, man, this is our beer. We're proud, you know, our civic pride. Just like with people with Strohs, you know, here in Detroit, and even if, you know, it would have been great, because I remember the Pabst Blue Ribbon Brewery, which is now, when I drove past there, it no longer exists now, just a empty space. But I remember there was, growing up as a kid, you see the Pabst Blue Ribbon bottle right up top of Newark, or driving down on the Garden State Parkway, and you can see the bottle was slowly turning around like this. Back then it was like sort of a pride thing. And then when the brewery closed, I think it was 1985 or 86, I believe. It was, I think they did pass, but also it was a Valentine brewery. It was, in a sense, it was a sad thing, but it was part of the times and things were closing and people were moving on. And so you want something to kind of identify that city with, and this beer does that. I mean,
and there's still a Budweiser brewery in Newark. Oh wait, is that Newark, New Jersey, or is that
Newark? Yeah. The brewery's there in Newark, and they brew Bud. And when you're driving down 1 and 9, you'll see all the beers they brew, even good old King Cobra. So
I was thinking it was maybe Newark, Ohio, or some other place.
Mm-hmm.
King Cobra. Hey, look at this old can. Here's an old photo can. It's a guy that's trying to look like 1907.
Right.
He's got beer. My grandmother upset me, but God rest her soul, she died earlier this year. But I remember right before Katrina hit, I was in Grand Isle. She used to have a house in Grand Isle. And I said, and she had all these plastic Dixie mugs, these old 1970s insulated Dixie mugs and Schlitz. And they never used them anymore. And I was like, Momo, can I have those? And she was like, no, you'll try to sell them. I said, I'm not going to sell them. I said, I think something's going to happen, and then they're going to get lost, or y'all going to throw them away. Well, naturally, the hurricane hit, destroyed the house. The waves from the ocean, the Gulf, knocked the house, broke it in half, and then all of those were gone. I was like, oh, yeah, that was great. I know. Tell them. I didn't even tell them to the Atlantic Ocean or the Caribbean Sea, probably. All right, here's an old 1963. To the best of my knowledge, I was able to determine this is from 1963.
How far did they go? How far does this beer reach the other parts of the country? I guess it was mostly only in the Southeast, right? I guess. I
went to Connecticut in 1996 and I saw a 6-pack of cans.
And Texas obviously gets this, and we get
it's made in Europe. Okay, here's Dixie Light. Here's Dixie Light. When I first started drinking beer, they had Dixie Light. Okay. A distributor who went out of business in 1996, like literally days before they shut down, I went to the distributor and they gave me an Olympia lighted sign, and the guy gave me a can of Dixie Light.
Amber, all right.
Amber Light from 1982, and it had beer in it. He said, don't let anybody drink that. And he kept saying that to me, don't let anybody drink it. And I was like, I'm not going to let anybody drink it. So I kept it sealed until about 6 or 7 years ago, but I dumped it out because I was scared it would burst or something and go all over my bedroom. But it didn't smell, when I opened it, it looked normal and it smelled okay. I said, maybe I could have drank it. But it was interesting because their light beer was an amber light, which I think in the 1970s is kind of an odd thing.
Right.
To me, it was maybe an odd, but here's Dixie Light bottle. And then they renamed it Dixie Jazz Amber. I guess they wanted to fit in with the new 90s, Dixie Jazz Amber. And then the new bottle of Dixie Jazz Amber Light beer. My daughter said, wow, that beer is really good. She sent me something on Facebook. I said, it is good. I told you. So that's the Dixie Jazz Amber. Looks like it's got Josephine Baker on it or something. Keep going. I'll show a few more things.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I'm kind of glad that people are starting to rediscover the Dixie beers and all these others and the Pabst and the Old Tankard Ale going back. Because like I said, these are beers that, anyone says, well, this is a new style. I said, no, these styles have been around forever, and, the company said, listen, we're going to stick with, what we sell and what we do and what makes us money. And, unfortunately, those beers were thrown away by the wayside, but now they're coming back and people are rediscovering them, like your great grandfather or whatever, all those out there listening. Remember those beers and remember how good they were. And now they get to and now they're the 5th generation of their family members are trying these beers again, or being reintroduced to these beers again, which is great because
my grandfather used to drink it. Here's we used to go out to eat at restaurants, seafood restaurants. We would always get Dixie because we wanted to help them out. Here's Dixie Light. This is an old can from like 45 years ago or 40 something years ago. And here's the Dixie Light can from about 40 years ago. Dixie Light, light, light.
See how they the print goes from light to somewhat
darker,
little color, and then to bright, to a bold color, So
let me read this real fast, Sean.
Okay.
Lager is a bright golden beer, which we can see it's bright and it's golden. Aged longer in natural wooden vats. Do you think the wooden vats, the wood barrels, have something to do with the flavor?
No, I would say a little bit of the yeast, and I think a little bit of the malt. And like you said, is that kind of gives you that sort of that wort, W-O-R-T, cereal sort of type of flavor to the beer, which is making it really good.
Now, my uncle, my mother's brother, now it says in the can, it's rushed to you brewery fresh. Well, forget it. You ain't going to get a brewery fresh now. But my uncle says, I never liked Dixie. He never liked Dixie. All right.
What did he like?
In the 70s? That's a good question. I'm going to have to ask him. He was always one of these people that was into craft beer before they had craft beer. You know what I'm saying? So he would drink like Lowenbrau in the early 70s. But
my dad liked Lowenbrau growing up, and then for whatever reason it stopped, and then he started moving towards, he still, the traditional stuff, the Budweisers and whatnot. But his two main beers, well, three now, Heineken and Guinness, and now that Prestige is in the has transported to the New York area since maybe going back 2001, 2005, I think it was, when they finally started selling in the New York area. So, he's happy about that he can get that beer, and of course we all know where that beer comes from, the pride of Haiti. So.
Haiti. Yeah. Heineken Brewery of Haiti. Now,
Prestige.
All right, but my uncle said that he went to the brewery for some reason, because they used to always have events at the brewery. Like I said, I went to the can show. If they had an event there, you could just drink all the Dixie you wanted out of the tap. I mean, you could just drink as much as you wanted. They didn't care. So he went over there. He said they would go there when he was going to Tulane University. They went over there for some excuse, probably. He said they were drinking it. He said on draft, it was so much better. I said, yeah, well, that's usually the case. And he just loved it on draft, Dixie beer. I have never had Dixie beer on draft except for that time I went to the brewery 1 month before the hurricane. Here's a beer they introduced over 20 years ago. They no longer make it. Dixie Crimson Voodoo. See, they're showing the small with this red light shining at night. This is like that movie where the guys were fighting the National Guard. You know what I mean?
Right. That's a nice looking can. That's nice. Now,
but they don't make that. They still make this, though. They still make this one, Dixie Black and Voodoo.
Yeah, that's the one I need to look for. I'll try to look for it, at Rouse's. And like I said, this is where I got my bottle from. See, Rouse's and Publix are probably the only two. Rouse's, again, as you well know, that store is a godsend. I'm glad they opened that store 2 years ago or 3 years ago when they opened it, and just everything you want craft beer wise is just there, because else I've been stuck with, the usual BS, Keystone and, this and that. And maybe the closest thing that came to craft beer might have been stuff from Fairhope Brewery or maybe even stuff from up in northern Alabama. And that would have been, at best, you have gotten that. The rest would have been the typical BS that might, no thank you.
Hey, Jean, I'm even tasting some lemon. And by the way, Alabama does have some really good craft beers these days. Lemon and almost like sourdough bread. Well,
yeah, that's that whole wort, whatever, something that kind of gives it that, that feeling that it has a very full flavor, and it's only 4% whatever percent,
4.5, and I think it has some woody notes.
Right.
Cypress barrel aging. Well, I don't want to brag on it like it's a world-class beer, but to me, you look at all the regular lager beers that you can buy in America, this is way above it.
I agree.
But you're going to pay way more. Now,
And that's like for $8.99 for a 6-pack for this. I said, you know, this is a damn shame. I mean, and like I said, when I made that statement that I thought this was a budget beer, again, because being a regional thing, that it would be kind of the same way people look at, you know, Genesee. You know, all the Genesee beers up in the New York area, or, you know, or even, you know, Ballantine, that, you know, which is, some people put as a malt liquor, which is not. But, you know, when I see these support malt liquor pages on Facebook, it's, you know, people put it in there, but it's not.
All that. Hey, it's an ale.
Right.
It's not a malt liquor. It's not even strong enough to be a malt liquor. Ballantine is strong. Hey, I want to ask you a question. 2 questions. First question. Would you buy this beer again?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, when I bought this, when I saw you mentioned Dixie, I said, yeah, I would buy this again. And, you know, yeah, I could see myself plunking down 8. Now, looking at it right now for the price, and I know Alabama is, I've mentioned many times how our prices in terms of beer, which is just absurd.
It's
but
nonetheless here, $7.99 here now.
You know, but yeah, $7.99, $8.99, big difference. But anyway, but I would, yeah, I would get this again, definitely. This is a definite go for me, and it's only on 6-packs. I don't see 12-packs of this in this area at all.
No, it's only 6-packs. Ever since the hurricane, that's it.
Yeah,
they used to have, you know, suitcases and 12-pack, but after the hurricane, it just decimated them, you know. So they couldn't offer draft. You couldn't get in draft anymore. Hey, second question: should I drink for my next beer of the night and my last? Should I drink Pabst Blue Ribbon or should I drink Miller High Life? And by the way, Pabst is in a pint can and High Life is in a 12-ounce bottle, but I'm gonna let you call it.
16-ounce can, glass. High Life PBR is about 4.7, if I'm correct, and High Life is about 4.7. Am I right?
That's right.
For both of those, 16-ounce can, 12-ounce. We'll do the PBR. And again, gold medal, award winner. Yay!
Yeah, 26. Many other times too. I'll be right back with my second beer.
And I'm about to get my next one too. So as I get up and walk towards the freezer, get my next brew.
Yeah. Now, you notice I'm wearing a Cubs shirt. So
yes, and 1-0 right now, if you're wondering, my friend.
I was wondering. I would never have actually done this during a World Series game, but I didn't know that they were going to change the game time.
Yeah, because of the weather.
I found that out after I'd already set up the examination.
Yeah, I think it was because of the weather. They're saying some impending weather coming towards the Ohio Valley and parts of the Midwest, so that's why they started it at 7 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock for us here. So, you know,
they may have to continue it, huh?
Well, if they can get, they're hoping, MLB is hoping if they can speed this game up tonight, and we all know MLB and its pace. You know,
it ain't gonna speed up. Yeah. They're not gonna speed. Hey, next week, I don't know if you're down for next week. Now I had to cancel.
16-ounce cans I found today. First time at Wally World.
Now somebody claims they make a regular Rockdale, but I've yet to see any photo evidence of that. Next week, we're going to try it again because remember we had to delete the video because of the appearance of Black Metal Troy.
Oh, yes. And
he not being able to handle it too well because of drinking too much of it anyway. But that was a very wild, but I thought, nah, this video doesn't really represent responsible drinking. So
yes, very responsible drinking. Yes,
being honest.
Yes, that was an interesting when Black Metal Troy joined us. Yes, so I think if he's not going to be there, I don't know, but yeah, but we'll definitely down for Ice House Edge.
Yes, if you could join. We're going to do Ice House Edge next week.
Hellas.
8% alcohol. I can buy 4 packs of it for $3.29 plus tax. For years it was $2.88. But the price crept up. But that's a great deal. Even today, $3.29 for a 4-pack of pint cans.
That's what it costs for Steel Reserve and Hurricane and at Walmart if you're doing the pint cans. But I'm probably going to have the big boy, the 25 ouncer. So you'll see me. It'll be I'll purchase it this week. I think that would be a pretty easy find to get Ice House Edge.
And I want the audience to know that I strongly recommend that he not buy the 24-ounce can of Ice House Edge. I think he should be more guarded and careful and buy a 16-ounce can. But that's just me talking. Now, but I do intend to go buy that 4-pack. In fact, Jean, most people said they've never seen the pint 4-packs.
Oh man, that's everywhere. That's pretty much everywhere. I mean, if you go to most grocery stores that I've seen it, yeah, that 4-pack 16-ouncers are pretty much everywhere. Yeah, that's a staple.
Of Ice House Edge?
Ice House Edge, yeah.
Okay. So, well, a lot of people, I guess they're up north. They say they only see the 24-ounce cans. Now, if somebody tells you they bought bottles of it, you know they're lying because they don't even make bottles.
They don't do bottles. No bottles at all. Only bottles I see is a regular Ice House, and that's it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and then another beer I have to look at, and about maybe we'll speed it up. I was going to do it in December. We can do it earlier. Is Wells Sticky Toffee Pudding Ale.
And that's from, see, when I did the Roberts Young Chocolate Stout. They're the same people that make that beer, right?
Wells and Young.
Wells and Young, right. And also the Glorious Bombardier, whatever.
Bombardier.
Bombardier, right, which I saw.
They make the banana bread beer.
Mm-hmm.
The chocolate, the double chocolate stout.
Right. Which was very weak. Which was very weak to me. I was more.
I could tell you weren't too thrilled with it.
I wasn't. I'm ready for that. I got my old Rasputin. I'm waiting till the weather gets really a little bit nippy for me to pop that one open right now. Man, when
I was watching your video for Young's double chocolate stout, man, I was so close to pressing that unfriend Jean button on Facebook.
I mean, I gave it a positive review, but like I said, I just thought it would be a little more stronger. But like I said, those imperial stouts.
It didn't have enough body.
Yeah, those imperial stouts those are the ones I'll gravitate towards. And
oh yeah, well, so we got Sticky Toffee Pudding, and then we next week we have Ice House Edge. I already set up the event page. You might have gotten an alert. Then John Sharon, you better stop backing out of these. All right, now he said he had something to do tonight. No, so I'm calling you out. Now I don't do call outs too much. Up to take off to throw down a gauntlet. But I'm calling you out, Zone 1. I'm calling you out, John Sharon. I don't mind starting an internet war. I'm calling you out to do your own solo video review of Dixie beer, Dixie Lager. Now, is that a fair call out?
I guess it is. I mean, it seemed like he had it. He obviously had the beer. Obviously, something came up. But yeah, I think that's a fair thing to come and
he bought the beer already, so he's got the beer. So like they say in the internet wars, make the video. Make the video. Right. All right. So well, what we have, and then we're going to close this out. What we have coming up. And John Sharon said we better do it because they're not going to be around too much longer.
The Dixie? What which beer?
Budweiser Black Crown.
Yes.
I'm gonna re-examine it.
I can only get the 6-pack. I only get the 6-packs here. I did see the big glass bottles of it. Those are pretty much no longer available when the corner stores that I go to.
The big tall cans are gone.
Right.
We got Black Crown and
the tall cans. The bottles. The 18-ounce bottles, I believe it was. Similar to the Bud Light Platinum.
22-ounce bottles.
22-ounce, sorry. Yeah.
But it's gone. And then we're going to do Miller Fortune before it's gone. That's going to be gone.
My God. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find that one. I'll pray for me if I can get Miller Fortune. If not, I'm probably have to go to Mississippi.
Serious? See what I mean, folks? That's why we got to do it now, because we might turn around tomorrow and they say Miller Fortune go. And then you know what we have to examine down the road. And didn't I tell y'all 6 months ago I knew something I couldn't tell y'all?
Yeah.
But I had that inside information, and I saw the labels. Milwaukee's Best Ice, the new 6.9%. The Milwaukee's Best Premium, the new 4.8%. And the light might be changed too. They got all new labels. I've been knowing about it for 6 months. I had to sit on this information for 6 months, and I wasn't able to tell anybody. It was killing me. But remember, I kept telling y'all I knew something I couldn't tell you.
Like I said, when I saw the 6.9%, I said to myself at the ice, I was like, okay. But unfortunately, my beautiful state here is not going to get that beer because Alabama is so back to the times that only I'll be able to get the ice if I go to Atlanta or go back home to Jersey to get it.
You talking about Milwaukee's Best Ice?
Yes.
Oh, I would, as we say,
6.9%, the new 6.9% version, yeah.
As we say on the streets, I would be drove if I couldn't find that.
I'm just like, but the new one, the new Milwaukee's Best, the 4.8, definitely, you know, I will. If they do with the I like the new labeling on it. When I took that picture, I said, yeah, this is really nice.
The 32-ounce cans, 2 cans for $3. 2 quart cans for $3. Do you hear what I'm telling you?
That's a good bargain. It's a very good bargain.
As soon as racetrack reopens,
oh, by the way,
they're renovating racetrack. So, all right, what?
Which yeah, the race. You know, sometimes around Mardi Gras, you'll be surprised. There'll be some things will pop up. You know, like I said, during that time of year, they'll bring all these different beers. When you go to the grocery stores or the service stations during Mardi Gras, and particularly some of the parades we'll have here in the Mobile Pritchard area, Pritchard, Alabama. You know, like when I was shocked to see the Schlitz, you know, OML. The 24-ounce can, I'm like, what the hell is this? And same with the Milwaukee's Best Ice, too. I saw that. And
I went to Baton Rouge to the LSU Southern Mississippi game, and it was serious about Schlitz OML. I went into these stores, and I said, uh-oh. And they had the new labels, so I just started buying it. You saw I did that special emergency video.
Right. Because at first – go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry.
You go to Shreveport, Louisiana, you would think that Schlitz malt liquor is the most popular beer in the world.
My sister-in-law lives in Shreveport, and I didn't ask her this, but I'm sure Schlitz is all over, and I'm definitely sure they would have Magnum. It's just pretty much up there too. So
they got stuff up there you wouldn't believe. They got Old English 800 12 packs with a tiger on the label. You never see it, you know, with a tiger claw label. They got Schlitz. I think they got like a big sign when you drive into the city. Schlitz Malt Liquor welcomes you to Shreveport. But anyway.
Magnum, I'm sure. Magnum they had there. Plenty of Magnum.
And if you want to get Magnum, go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Magnum everywhere you turn. You can't get away from Magnum.
You know. And like I said, Louisiana, you know, funny story, true story. I was at the store. I was at Rouse's. And he had a couple of college kids that came in, and they were talking, and it sounded like they were from, you know, started talking, and these 2 girls were talking, and I don't see any 40s around here, and my eyes just kind of perked up, like, for what? 40s? I kind of said, you know what? I said, well, ma'am, I told the girls, you know, you're in the wrong state to find 40s here in Alabama. You know, only come close to a big can will be 25-ounce. Cans or whatever you're going to find. And if you think you're going to find some of the stuff that you guys are talking about, good luck. It's not down here in Alabama. So
where were they from?
I think they were from Michigan. So, yeah, and they were going to school at South Alabama, University of South Alabama. There were some students from there. So,
bro, this is a major 40-ounce place, Louisiana. We get 40 ounce just on a lark. I don't know why we're talking about all this. Anyway, we gotta shut it down, folks. Good thing we're not drinking Ice House Edge. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
We get 40-ounce bottles of Budweiser. We get 40-ounce bottles of Coors Light everywhere for some weird reason. We get 40-ounce bottles of King Cobra premium malt liquor. We get 40-ounce bottles of Colt 45, and it's always $1.99 for a 40-ounce. Anywhere you go. We get 40 ounces of Magnum in that disgusting plastic bottle. We get 40 ounces of Magnum. Mickey's in that disgusting plastic bottle.
Miller. It was like old English Miller, all Miller.
So if you're into collecting 40-ounce bottles, we have got what you need in Louisiana. You could make your whole house full of 40-ounce bottle. You know, some people just collect 40-ounce bottles. So you could really go to town on that.
St. Ides, all that. It's just like I said, we were late. We were late here in 2009. They finally lifted up the ban, began selling beers over 6%. And, before then, the closest thing of high gravity or extra strong beers we had here were here in this state. When I moved down in 2006, before 3 years later, was Colt 45 and Mickey's and let's see what else, and that was it. I mean, we even that's all we had, Colt 45 and Mickey's, and then everything. When that changed, we got Hurricane, and then he began to increase the size of the bottles. So there you go. Let the dog bite get you.
This is Jean-Pierre. When I first started over 20 years ago, when I first started with this beer addiction, I meant to say beer hobby, 20 years ago, February 96. We used to go, they had grocery stores here that had St. Ides everywhere.
Yeah.
I bought it. I said, it's a beer. I always bought everything, craft beer, regular beer. I didn't care. I just bought it, So I thought, this St. Ides is pretty good. But this was back in the old 6% days.
6%, yeah. Right.
And if you go to some of the and if you go into some of the darker corners of New Orleans,
in the hood, the rough time, the other side of town.
the little pow areas, you will see St. Ides, but you will only see the St. Ides yellowish green. You know what I'm talking about, the flavored ones.
Yeah, and I've seen it one time in Miles Point, Mississippi, and I said to myself, there's no way in hell I'm sipping any of this stuff. Anything with these flavored high gravity beers, no the hell way I'm trying them. No.
And if you go into some of
reviewed.
if you go into some of the very shadowy areas of New Orleans, the like I said, the little pow areas. I call them pow areas because when you go there, you sometimes hear pow. Now, and then later sirens. But this is actually literally true. I actually have heard this. But anyway, if you go into some of these areas, you will also see, oddly enough, you might be stunned when I tell you this. I didn't buy it because I don't drink that kind of stuff. But I went in there and I saw champagne.
No, even that I will not try.
Champagne, baby. Champagne pink, champagne golden original, and one of the others. And I couldn't believe it. I said, I'm not looking at what I'm seeing. Champagne. Champagne was the original flavored malt liquor from 1937, people.
No, I can't do it. I said, only
people.
Nope. No, anything flavored, can't do it. Even someone had even asked me, I don't know, they haven't asked me, I mean, even said, hey, will you ever consider doing an MD 2020? I said, no, I will not do that. You have to shoot me if I ever did that.
I would not do that unless somebody would go along with it. But I can't say I never drank flavored beer because I do have a Trader Joe's Radler right there in the fridge for tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh boy. Okay. No thing. Right. I got my standards.
Yeah, MD 2020 and Hartley's flavored brandy and Night Train. I don't know. I just feel like my life is
Thunderbird. All of them. No.
Yeah. Thunderbird and Wild Irish Rose. I mean. No. I could go there, but I don't want to go there.
Yeah, no, not for me. I got standards. I would drink a Steel Reserve before I drink those two.
I need that in my life. All right. Well, thank you, folks, for joining us for this Well, it started off with us talking about Dixie. Then we went off into all kind of
good beer, Dixie. Buy Dixie,
and
folks.
Then we talked about beer bottle sizes, and then we started talking about extremely questionable alcoholic beverages. So that's how we conclude this. That's the summary of it. So if you didn't watch it, you missed a pretty fascinating video about Dixie beer. Thank you for watching this video production. And y'all come on down to New Orleans or Monroe, Wisconsin.
Or Mobile, Alabama. Mobile, Alabama. Hey, good night.
Good night, folks.